All right, here's the prelude. It doesn't matter if you love him or capital H-I-M. Just put your paws up because you were born this way, baby. My mama told me when I was young, we are all born superstars. She rolled my hair and put my lipstick on in the glass of her boudoir. There's nothing wrong with loving who you are, she said, 'cause he made you perfect, babe. So hold your head up, girl, and you'll go far. Listen to me when I say I'm beautiful in my own way, 'cause God makes no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Don't hide yourself in regret. Just love yourself and you're set. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no other way. Baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no other way. Baby, I was born this way. Right track, baby, I was born this way. Don't be a drag, just be a queen. Don't be a drag, just be a queen. Don't be a drag, just be a queen. Don't be. Give yourself prudence and love your friends. Subway kid, rejoice your truth. In the religion of the insecure, I must be myself, respect my youth. A different lover is not a sin. Leave capital H-I-M. Hey, hey, hey. I love my life, I love this record. On mi amore felice, yeah. I'm beautiful in my own way, 'cause God makes no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Don't hide yourself in regret. Just love yourself and you're set. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no other way. Baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no other way. Baby, I was born this way. Right track, baby, I was born this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 2, 3, 4, 4. Don't be a drag, just be a queen. Whether you're broke or evergreen, you're black, white, beige, Chola descent, you're Lebanese, you're Orient. Whether life's disabilities left you outcast, bullied or teased, rejoice and love yourself today, 'cause baby, you were born this way. No matter gay, straight or black, relevant your life, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born to survive. No matter black, white or beige, Chola or Orient, I'm on the right track, baby. I was born to be brave. I'm beautiful in my way, 'cause God made no mistakes. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Don't hide yourself in regret. Just love yourself and you're set. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no other way. Baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born this way. Oh, there ain't no other way. Baby, I was born this way. Baby, I was born this way. I was born this way. I was born this way. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. I was born this way. I was born this way. I'm on the right track, baby. I was born this way. Same DNA, but born this way. Same DNA, but born this way.
Morning. everyone. To begin our services, we ring this bell 3 times. The first is to call us back into covenant. We are on the unceded land of the Muwekma tribe of the Ohlone people. They were displaced, colonized, their land taken, and many of them killed. Now they seek to regain their land as well as pass on their heritage, customs, and culture to their descendants. Everything we do to restore their rights, equality, and sovereignty is bringing us back into covenant. That was louder than it usually is. The second calls us into relationship with ourselves and one another to recognize broken promises, unhealed hurt, lingering scars, where being right was more important than being whole. We intentionally gather to invite an ever-widening circle of compassion, commitment, and solidarity until we are all beloved to one another. And the third bell calls us into relationship with our children and our children's children out to many generations, helping us to realize what we do now or what we fail to do will be felt by whoever comes after us.
Good morning. So June is Pride Month, obviously, and it's a time that is set aside for celebrating the diversity of people. And unfortunately, our current administration has made diversity a dirty word. So I think it's important, more important now than ever before, that we celebrate the diversity in our culture, and that includes the LGBTQ plus all the other letters. It's important because we're all here together and we all have to work together and we all have to live together, and life would be a lot easier if we would just accept that and move on. The beginning for me was kind of late in my life. I was 38 years old when I realized I was a lesbian. And I think the reason it took me so long is because I was raised in the Christian church and thoroughly indoctrinated in all the things that Christianity used to stand for before MAGA. I went to church every Sunday. I went to sometimes we had evening services. I'd do that too. And sometimes we had Wednesday night services. We'd go to that. I went to youth group. I went to vacation Bible school. I went to church camp. I went to everything. And I believed the things that I was taught. And I didn't really question it all that much. So when I realized I was a lesbian, I went through a really difficult time. I try not to do things halfway. So when I came out of the closet, my friend said that I exploded out of the closet. Because once I decided that this is who I am, I embraced everything I could about my gay culture. And the process I went through, I was teaching at Ball State at the time, and so I took a leave of absence because I'd saved up a whole lot of sick days. So I took a whole semester off and spent a lot of time doing what good teachers do. I researched, I read a ton of books and articles. I talked to people online. Back then we had listservs and things like that. And I was in a group called Christian Lesbians. So I did that. I tried talking to some of my friends at church, but that didn't go well. So I think that, there's an old saying that Christians are the first ones to shoot their own wounded. And I feel like I got shot a lot by my so-called Christian friends. I didn't really realize what was going on at first. My sexual orientation hadn't been something that I'd spent a lot of time thinking about until I realized that I was different. That I finally understood that all those crushes that I had on female teachers in school wasn't just because I wanted to be a teacher. It was because I had a crush on them. And it was one of those things where I spent a lot of time saying, oh, so that's why I did that, or that's why that explains a lot. And it made sense. There were a lot of things about my life that I didn't really understand until I realized who I am. And I think that it was important for me to just kind of put myself in a situation where I could think and I could concentrate and I could research and I could do what I needed to do to figure out who I was. And unfortunately, it was a very stressful time. And I kind of went back to something that I used to do in college, which was drink. And I just kind of started drinking myself stupid half the time. And there was only one gay bar in my town, in my city. So I became a regular there. And I was also seeing a therapist twice a week. And she suggested and recommended that I check myself into rehab. So I did. And I hated it. It was awful. It sucked. I never wanted to have to go back there. So so I learned some things about myself, and I came out of rehab and felt like I was ready for whatever the world had to offer me as a lesbian. So my minister was one of those people who suggested conversion therapy, which I vetoed. I said, I'm talking to you about this because I want to have a dialogue about it. I don't want you to fix it, because I don't think there's anything to fix. I'm not broken. I'm not wrong. I'm not some mistake that God made. Because the question that I struggled with the longest was, why would God make me this way if he hates what I am? And that didn't make sense to me. That did not compute. So I finally came to the the realization, excuse me, that this is my true authentic self. This is who I am. And if people don't like me because of that, then that's on them. It's not my problem. So I feel like, church really let me down for a very long time until I found myself at the UU Church in West Lafayette, Indiana. And I felt like I belonged there. I felt accepted. I felt loved. I didn't feel like I was being ostracized because of who I was. There were other gay people in the congregation that were very welcoming and open and accepting. And they, invited me to their house for dinner and things like that. At the time, my wife was in California doing a temp job, a contract job. And so I was on my own. And they just were really there for me. And that made all the difference in the world as far as I'm concerned. Obviously, I'm still a UU and I'm still a lesbian and I'm still here. And I think that acceptance is one of those things that we have to give ourselves, and then accepting other people and allowing them to be who they are is the most important thing, I think. So as we come together today, I just want to celebrate each and every person here, not just if you're gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, whatever, whichever one of the letters you are. It doesn't matter. We're all people, we're all human, we all belong, and we all need to get together. So let us celebrate today and keep in mind that all of us are unique in our own individual ways. And that's the fun part of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. So I will now do the chalice lighting, and we're going to just not use our regular words, but use a poem called The Pride Flame. We light this flame to ignite the hearts and minds and spark of knowledge that enlightens, the shimmering hope that burns, the blazing love that engulfs our actions, the bonfire of our commitment. We light this flame for those who celebrate themselves, who fear, who hope, who persevere, who stand on the side of love for all. We light this flame for those who have been ridiculed, that they may find peace, for those who have fought to marry, that they may celebrate, for those who live in uncertainty in the world, that they may have hope. We light this flame to renew our commitment that no one shall ever again suffer for the right to love. We light this flame to celebrate our kaleidoscope of diversity, working, loving, and living on the side of love. For this, we light this flame.
Good morning. My name's Valerie Stewart. I'm a member of the board. My pronouns are she and her. We welcome you here this morning. Unitarian Universalism is a radically inclusive, non-dogmatic, non-doctrinal, open-minded, and open-hearted faith. We gather together across different identities, experiences, and beliefs to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Together, we see our job is to love the hate out of the world, heal the hurt in ourselves and others, and be the change in the world we want to see. If you're our guest here for the first time, we welcome you. Here's a bit of information about how we handle hybrid services for all the folks that are up there too. We use chat in Zoom or the welcome table near the door. Thank you, Deanna, for being here. To share joys and concerns, personal milestones of importance that you wish to share with the congregation, because they will be read out loud. And the book is over there if you wish to write them for here. We will have a social hour, probably on the patio if the wind doesn't step up. And for those who are here on Zoom, the worship hosts, Eric and Elizabeth, will set up the rooms for you after the service. Deanna will put a link in our weekly newsletter in chat, or if you would like to request one to be sent to you via email. Please see her at the table there. Or to answer any other questions you may have. Now, for some announcements. Please mark August 16th on your calendar for the memorial service for our dear friend John Porter. Next week's service, July 6th, is entitled Quantum Physics and Universalism, and Sharon Davis and Paul K. Davis, no immediate relation, will offer that service for us. Catherine Lum, who is a former member of our congregation, recently lost her husband, Curtis, and is moving from a 2-bedroom to a 1-bedroom apartment in the same complex. She needs some moving boxes, and so if you have any that you can spare, please see Peggy Rahman. And Peggy has graciously donated some LGBTQ protest buttons, and they're over on the table if you wish to pick up any for yourself. And if you are in search of mental health, family support, or support resources in the Tri-Cities area, please see our wonderful Reverend Barbara Myers. She knows everything. And if she doesn't, she'll figure it out. Now, can we all silence your electronic devices? Thank you very much. And can we please welcome everybody being together? Folks in Zoomlandia, we're here, you're there, and we're all together. Thank you for being here.
So I welcome you to please.
Somewhere over the rainbow. Somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. There's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rainbow, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops. Where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow. Somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly. Bluebirds fly over the rainbow. Birds fly over the rainbow. Why, then, why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly, if happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh why can't I? Give yourselves a hand.
Time for all ages, yes? Okay. Barbara, do you mind if I move this? Or does it have to stay where it's at? Just so that I can read. Yes. Thank you. So Barbara asked me to introduce myself, so I'm going to. What you see before you is a creation of a lot of tape, a lot of spandex, and horses. This is Vivian Diversai. Vivian for, well, if you've ever seen the movie Pretty Woman, that character, and Vivian. And Diversai for the city of Versailles, which is actually where Marie Antoinette made a party place, because before that it was just a podunk village. So, and also on the more mundane note, I'm the Reverend Johnny Bloom Ramirez. I serve our fellowship in Sunnyvale. I graduated Meadville Lombard in 2015. I was ordained in 2023. Thank you. And I've served as a chaplain at UCSF Medical Center during the height of the pandemic. And I serve part-time at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Sunnyvale. So our time for all ages today is called From the Stars in the Sky to the Fish in the Sea, and is written by Kai Cheng Thom and illustrated by Wei Yant Il Li and Kai Yun Chung. So I love this story. I read this story and it about brought me to tears last week. Now, I will tell you all that this bit of thing that I'm doing here, reading to you a children's story, is an act of protest. You see it right now, my community, our community, the LGBTQIA+ community, is being constantly targeted. And one of the things that they're targeting is drag queens around children. You know, I happen to agree with that just a little bit, because some fabulous wigs and some beautiful jewelry might get ruined. However, if you look at who's getting arrested for certain things, it's not drag queens. It's not trans people. Once upon a time, in a little blue house on a hill on the edge of town, a baby was born. They were born when both the sun and the moon were in the sky, so the baby couldn't decide what to be. Boy or girl? Bird or fish? Cat or rabbit? Tree or star? So the baby looked a little like everything, that they looked very strange. All the same, the baby's mother gave her child a bath and rocked them in her arms. Your name, she said, is Miu Lang. She sang a song that her mother had sung to her long, long ago. Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be. From the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea. You can crawl like a crab or with feathers fly high. And I'll always be there. I'll be near, standing by. And you'll know that I love you until the day that I die. And even though they still couldn't decide, the baby felt loved. Miu Lan grew up to be a strange magical child who was always changing. They grew feathers and wings to fly with the bluebirds in the morning, scales and a tail to swim with the fishes in the afternoon, and fur and paws to play with the puppies in the evening. No matter how many things Miu Lan became, their mother always brought them back into the little blue house, gave them a bath, and tucked them into bed. At day's end, as the stars rose, she sang, whatever you dream of, I believe you can be. From the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea. And Miu Lan felt loved. One day, it was time for the child to go to school, and they were so excited. They grew a tail of peacock feathers and a coat of tiger stripes. I love peacock feathers. Have fun, said Miu Lan's mother. But when they got to school, the other students were either boys or girls. They had no feathers, no scales, no leaves, no fur, no fins, not even sparkles. No one invited Miu Lan to play. One little boy ran up to the child and asked, what are you supposed to be? Miu Lan didn't know how to answer. When they came home, their mother asked them how they liked school. It's okay, Miu Lan said. Did you make any friends? Not really, said Miu Lan. That night, Miu Lan's mother tucked them into bed and sang, you can crawl like a crab or with feathers fly high. And I'll always be here. I'll be standing by. And you'll know that I love you till the day that I die. And Miu Lan felt loved, but also worried. The next day, they wore a turtle shell and porcupine spines. And no one pulled or poked Miu Lan, but the other children still pointed and whispered. "Did you make any friends today?" asked their mother. "Not really," said Milan. That night, Milan's mother tucked them into bed and sang, "Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, from the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea." And Milan felt loved, but they also felt sad. The next day, Milan wore no feathers, no scales, no leaves, no fur, no fins, no shells, no spines, not even any sparkles. Milan was invited to play baseball with the boys. No one pointed, whispered, or laughed, or stared. But when Milan joined the little girls playing hopscotch, "Boys don't play hopscotch," said a little girl. "Are you a boy or a girl anyway?" asked a little boy. "Didn't you have a shell the other day?" asked a little girl. "And feathers the day before?" "What are you supposed to be?" said several children all at once. "I don't know," Milan shouted, and galloped off the playground on horse's hooves, swam through the stream with a fish's tail, and soared up onto the hill with eagle's wings. "How was school?" asked Milan's mother. "I wore feathers and stripes so the other kids would think that I was beautiful, but they thought that I was weird. Then I wore a shell and spines so that no one would pull or poke me, but they wouldn't talk to me. And then I tried to be just like everyone else, but I haven't made any friends. I just can't decide what to be. Why do I have to be just one thing?" "It isn't always easy to be different from everyone else," said their mother. But you can only be what you are. What if the other children don't like who I am?" said Milan. Sorry, the pages are kind of stuck together. Their mother smiled sadly. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I do know this. Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, from the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea." And Milan felt loved. That night, they slept a deep, deep sleep. The next day, Milan wore feathers, fur, scales, leaves, and many sparkles that glittered like stars. For a moment, none of the other children spoke. Then a little girl said, "You can fly? That's so cool!" "I like your sparkles," said a little boy. "I'm so sorry I pulled your feathers," said the boy with the red hair. "I was just jealous of them." Milan asked, "Does anyone else want to play with me?" They showed the other children how to gallop like horses, climb like monkeys, and swim like fish. It was fun to be many different things. And the child of fur, feathers, scales, leaves, and sparkles, who was neither boy or girl, but many things, always changing, felt happy. In the little blue house on the edge of town, Milan's mother smiled and sang the song her mother had sung to her once upon a time. "Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, from the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea. You can crawl like a crab or with feathers fly high, and I will always be there. I'll be near, standing by. And you'll know that I love you until the day that I die. Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, for you're my child, courageous and free."
Hello, everyone. My name is Jenna Doherty, and I am a trans advocate, and I'm also born and raised here in Fremont. And I just want to say thank you so much here to everybody at Mission Peak UU for giving me a platform to be able to humanize us in the trans community. It is truly a dream of mine as a trans woman who was homeschooled by Christian fundamentalists to be able to stand in a church and try to humanize us to the flock. As I said, I grew up here in Fremont, so to be standing in a church and speaking to a congregation as the woman I was meant to be is quite surreal. It's truly a dream come true, and it's something that I can hope that I can continue to do. To quote the great Michael W. Smith, he broke the old rules steeped in tradition. He tore the holy veil away, questioning those in powerful positions, running to those who called his name. But nobody knew his secret ambition was to give his life away. That was the image of Jesus that I was taught, the champion of the marginalized and vulnerable, while being a thorn in the side of the rich and powerful religious elites. For being as radical and as fundamentalist as my parents were, they still had a moral compass, and they genuinely believed in what they felt was a righteous cause. They believed that they had to train us in their ways. I mean, I came out of the womb and my parents were like, "Here's your Bible." And we went to church 3 times a week, including Awana on Wednesday nights. It was the only interaction I had with kids my age. We would get mailers from the Heritage Foundation. My mom would play Rush Limbaugh while we did our schoolwork. And my dad even took me to an anti-abortion protest at the old Planned Parenthood right across from Washington Hospital when I was 8 years old. I was literally raised in a Christian nationalist incubator. But going back to age 5, I always knew that I was different. I knew that my feelings inside were different and very heavy, intense from the intense expectations my parents had put on me. I used to sit in my bed at night and ask God to please turn me into a girl. That was something I knew I couldn't tell my parents because I knew that they wouldn't accept me and probably force me to go into the male identity that was given to me. For many, many years, I struggled with such intense shame. I would dress in secret from time to time, but I ultimately would lie to myself by saying, "No, that's sinful, don't do that." And I would ask God for forgiveness, and this cycle would go over and over and over again. And it went on until I was 28 years old when I finally found the strength to be true to myself. From day one, I wanted to use my transition as a tool to educate anyone who was open-minded enough to listen. While I lost many people who refused to accept me, including close friends and my dad, I was fortunate enough to retain many people I grew up with in the church, along with most of my family, and I've made so many incredible new friends that love me for me. 10 years later, after completing all my surgeries, I'm finally at the point in my transition where I am fully me. I am beyond privileged with the ability and opportunities to do what I truly feel I was born to do. Help those understand who we are and what we're all about. Especially in this time of rising fascism, where those in charge are the very same religious elites Jesus gave his life to defeat. If Jesus was on earth today, guaranteed he would be a trans activist. Right? I truly believe from the bottom of my heart that even though I'm agnostic, it is my duty to humanize us to those in the church who don't see us. I truly believe that those who spew evil, who want to erase us from society, are a very small minority, granted very loud and powerful minority, but a minority nonetheless. If given the chance to learn, I truly believe a majority of people are good and will side with us over those who only have hate in their heart. Thank you again, truly from the bottom of my heart. Have a blessed day. Trans rights are human rights!
Good morning. We take up a collection on Sundays for the simple reason that our purpose in gathering is for more than ourselves. We want to make sure that the ministries we need, the ones that infuse worth and dignity into our children, our youth, our programs of learning, our leadership, and our ministries of anti-oppression, and our work in the larger world, are in place to meet the needs of others. We hope that you will make a contribution toward these worthy causes by mailing your check to Mission Peak UU congregation at the address on the screen. You can also use bill pay option in your online banking or drop a check in the Mission Peak mail slot or pay online with a credit card or debit card. Thank you for supporting and sustaining the efforts of our members, friends, and staff. Your contributions make loving and learning and leadership more possible.
Allows us to find hope and meaning, especially in the hard times, is the love and support we show one another. If you have a joy or concern that by sharing with this community might bring the encouragement or resilience you are needing, please, if you're online, write it briefly in the chat. And whether you're sharing, what you're sharing is a joy or a concern. If you're here in person, you can use a book. There's Valerie over there writing it. And you can also place a stone in our stone garden while the music plays. If your need is more personal, you can send an email to me because our minister is on vacation, so I'll be covering pastoral care when he's gone. So thank you, Peggy, for the music. For all those joys and concerns that are yet too tender to share. Thank you.
Mattering. This is by Mark Hicks, and these are the words of a gay disabled student that he had at one point, a Latino young man. He adapted them into a poem with the young man's permission. My father asked if I am gay. I said, does it matter? He said, no, not really. I said, yes. He said, get out of my life. I guess it mattered. My friend asked me why I talk about race so much. I said, does it matter? He said, no, not really. I told him, yes. He said, you need to get that chip off your shoulder. I guess it mattered. My neighbor asked why I put the ramp up to my front door. I said, does it really matter? He said, no, not really. I told him because it made my life easier. He said, is there a way to make it a little less obvious? I guess it mattered. A member of my church asked why I liked gospel music. I said, does it matter? She said, no, not really. I told her that it connects to my Southern Christian childhood. She said, I think you're in denial about your oppression. I guess it mattered. My God asked me, do you love yourself? I said, does it matter? She said, yes. I said, how can I love myself? I'm gay, Latino, disabled, and a Christian in a hostile climate. She said that is the way that I made you. Nothing will ever matter again. A little boy wakes up early. His mother dead to the world from a late night shift she got home from just hours before. He quietly takes a look into her bag of Avon products, taking out a small tester tube of lipstick. It's called Ravishing Red. He takes his mother's high-heeled shoes because he loves the click-clack on the cement walkway just outside their apartment. There's a pink negligee that to him looks like an evening gown. The little boy doesn't know that what he's doing is wrong. He just wants to play. Only vaguely aware of gender and the constructs that come along with it, he dresses carefully in the heels and the gown, applying the lipstick. He puts on some beads that hang down to his knees. He opens the front door, the light just barely coming into the sky. Click, clack, click, clack. He imagines that he is powerful, like those ladies he watches on the television with his grandmother in Dynasty, or one of her other soap operas. Is this 4-year-old little boy hurting anyone with his make-believe play? No, but you'd think he committed murder from the responses from the neighbors. His mother teases him relentlessly about his playtime, telling him that normal boys don't do this. He gets in trouble. Homosexuality has always existed. 1,500 animal species exhibit homosexual behaviors, and 450 animal species will form bonded pairs, two of the same sex, to the point where they will court, engage in sex, and raise children together. There's no homophobia in the natural world, in the animal kingdom. Humanity, however, is not immune. Same-sex partnerships have existed for millennia. William Eskridge suggests that evidence exists that same-sex marriage was tolerated in parts of Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt. Artifacts from Egypt, for example, show a same-sex relationship not only existing, but the discovery of a pharaonic tomb for such a couple shows that their union was recognized by the kingdom. Meanwhile, accounts of Israelites' departures from Canaan include their condemnation for the Egyptian acceptance of same-sex practice. In actuality, same-sex marital practices and rituals are less known in Egypt than they were compared to Mesopotamia, where documents existed for a variety of marital practices, including male lovers of kings and polyandry. None of the recorded laws of Mesopotamia, including the Code of Hammurabi, contain restrictions against same-sex unions, despite the fact that marriages are otherwise well regulated. Brent Picker's paper, Homosexuality, notes that the classic antiquity in the Western world is frequently cited for examples for same-sex love and relationships. those separate concepts of homosexuality and heterosexuality did not exist as they do today. Plato's Symposium, for example, describes instances of homosexual attraction and same-sex relationships in ancient Greece without condemnation. Some point to the examples of same-sex interaction in Greek artwork as further evidence of its equal status within society. Individual higher status, however, was critical importance to the free expression of love. Roman social customs are relatively well known, and same-sex unions existed as high in society as amongst Roman emperors. Roman statesman Cicero also documented legal rights for an individual of a same-sex relationship. Female same-sex unions seem to have been a little less common, but only because women enjoyed less freedom economically and socially in their endeavors. This is also true in China, where you can see evidence of not only same-sex relationships, but evidence of a trans woman entering in a relationship with a man as a beloved concubine. The rise of Christianity and the dominance of the church in medieval Europe was largely detrimental for same-sex relationships. Evidence exists that same-sex relationships enjoyed relative freedom throughout the early Middle Ages. European secular law had few recorded limitations on same-sex behavior, and there is even evidence in the clergy of compassion for homosexuality, notable within the clergy itself. An entire monastery of gay men was founded in Spain because of the fact that they could not produce children, and there was no question of the patriarchal lineage being passed down to any children rather than the church. So their property went directly to the church. In John Boswell's Christianity, Social Tolerance, and Homosexuality, they document homosexual marriages performed by gay clerics dating back to the 4th century. While the Roman Church was still punishing those for entering same-sex unions, the Greek Church made provisions for them for quite a while afterwards. Attitudes toward homosexuality as a problem continued with laws passed against buggery and sodomy throughout Europe. This did not happen until after what we call the Dark Ages. 19th century is when the term homosexuality was coined by Caroli Maria Curtbeni. He postulated that homosexuality was one of the 4 inborn types of sexuality and should be considered natural. He also posited that since it was natural, it was a violation of human rights to treat homosexuality different or wrong. He was in the minority. Most Victorians believed that only natural means of sexual activity were procreation, and anything past that was deviant and unnatural behavior. But that's a whole other sermon, though. And trust me, them Victorians liked their porn. I'm gonna say it. Homosexuality was regarded as a perversion, and well into the 20th century, the standard cure was chemical castration or electroshock therapy. Sometimes if that didn't work out, lobotomization was considered. The term homosexual wasn't added into the Bible until 1946. A gross mistranslation of the Greek term for arsenokoitai, which refers to the ancient Greek and Roman practice of pederasty, where a man would take a boy as a lover and a servant until he was of a certain age. I think we can all agree that that's morally reprehensible. But they replaced one word entirely for another with completely different meanings. And that was recent. The little boy, the one who loved the click-clack of his mother's shoes, is now in elementary school. He's pulled out of class and asked to speak to a nice lady in the office. She and he discuss his home life, the things that he loves, his dreams, his art. He sees her frequently trusting her because she was nice to him and she listened. Weeks later, his mother sets him down and explains that he was diagnosed as a deviant. And that nice lady who was the school psychologist told his mother that he was prime candidate for homosexual recruitment or conversion. His mother takes away any toys that he has that are girl toys and tells him that enough is enough. He's 7 years old. He should know better. He got in trouble again. He will be taking karate from now on. Thus began his social lobotomization. In the 1960s, a sexual revolution took hold, and hundreds of years of frustration and degradation came to a head with the Stonewall riots. In New York, a law was passed that stated a man must dress like a man and could not engage in sexual activity with another man in public, no matter where. Women were expected to wear at least 3 feminine items of clothing or be arrested. The police raided the Stonewall Inn in 1969 with the intention of making arrests under this new law. Gay men and women, specifically femme and hypermasculine or butch lesbians, drag queens and transgender individuals rioted over a period of several days, saying that they were tired of the oppression that they were experiencing. This was the birth of the modern gay rights movement, which started as a sexual revolution and then banded together during the height of the AIDS crisis, and then itself became more and more mainstream in the latter part of the 1990s. Those marginalized groups formed their own families, specifically in queer communities of color called houses, and this was where the modern ball culture was born. Balls continue to this day, a place where queer men and women compete in fashion, dance, specifically voguing, and modeling competitions. Finally, in 1986, we had the removal of homosexuality completely from the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which was and still is the leading diagnostic manual for mental health professionals. That wasn't until 1986. Over several years, this saw drastic change in the public perception of gays in the media as sexually promiscuous and deviant, as in the movie Cruising, which I believe starred Al Pacino, to an AIDS victim, as in the films Philadelphia or Angels in America, to all-out camp, such as in films like The Birdcage or Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, both of which, I will tell you, along with Du Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, are played regularly and religiously in my house. Then we switched over to the gay best friend. We saw him in movies like My Best Friend's Wedding and television shows like Will and Grace and Sex and the City. Now gay representation in the media is largely positive, with a wide variety of types portrayed, however smaller in number. Whereas in the past, even alluding to a same-sex kiss was unheard of, it's commonplace now to see displays of affection between 2 couples of the same sex on media. For better or for worse, transgender issues are now in the media forefront as more and more individuals come into relationship with their gender identity. Still, media representation of LGBTQ characters is down, transgender men are not represented at all, and 70% of LGBTQ characters are white. The overwhelming majority of bisexual characters, if they're even portrayed, are women. That little boy, he's grown up into a teenager. He's confused all the time. He knows what it means to be gay, and he knows that it's wrong. It doesn't stop him from dreaming of that cute boy in class who was mean to him, or dealing with the awkwardness of not trying to be aroused during PE and while changing for gym class. The confusion is worse because he thinks that girls are pretty too. The bullying has increased. The boy doesn't have any sympathy waiting for him at home. One day, while walking home from school, he's attacked, hit with a bat, and metal pipes. His saving grace is the heavy backpack that he was wearing filled with heavy school books. He covers his head to protect his face. His last thought is that, again, he's going to get in trouble because he didn't defend himself. The attackers are stopped by a screaming woman who runs to the aid of the boy, saying that she's going to call the police. What do you think that caused? The boy can't get in trouble again, so he runs home, looks in the mirror, enters through the back door, actually, hiding in his parents' bathroom, looks in the mirror, and says to himself he's fine. The bruises on his torso and his legs can be hidden. He's now 12. They'll never know. They never did know. At least this time, he didn't get into trouble. In the words of an unidentified straight young woman who responded to the question, why isn't there a straight pride? Her words were, I have yet to come across a straight person who's treated any differently because of their sexual orientation. I've never met a straight person who is fighting for acceptance in society for their sexuality, and I've yet to meet a straight person who is mocked as abnormal because they prefer a partner of the same gender or of the opposite gender. Have you ever wondered how it feels to be part of a community that is looked down by most of the people around you? Have you ever wondered how does it feel to be a person who is always mocked, teased, or bullied because of his or her sexuality or gender identity? Have you ever wondered how it feels to be treated as abnormal or ill just because you came out of the closet? Have you ever wondered what it's like to live in a state of mental trauma because of all the harassment, shame, and fear that comes your way because of your sexuality? Have you ever wondered how does it feel to beg for acceptance by your own family and friends? Forget about society. That is what any LGBTQ person has gone through again and again and again on a daily basis. And it's only worse for people of color. Apart from all the normal worldly problems, they have one more battle that they have to fight with every day, and that is the battle of dignified survival. Thus, they need pride marches. They need pride marches to know that they're not alone. They need pride marches to shout out to the world that they are not ashamed of themselves. They need pride marches to create awareness that their existence, along with their feelings and desires, are absolutely normal and they won't hide them anymore. I and my queer brothers and sisters, be they cis, trans, or agenders, have inherent worth and dignity. Yet we are consistently told that we are not worthy of such. We are held to blame for disease. We are held to blame for natural disasters. We are held to blame for the disintegration of moral society. We are told that we are subhuman, that we should be rounded up and shot by faith leaders, nonetheless. We are told that while we can marry, we can't order a wedding cake. This is why we march. We march to remind ourselves that we are not alone. We march in honor of all the fallen, all those who've died of AIDS, and those who have died by the hands of another, and those who have died by their own hand. We march for Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera, the street queens, who were some of the first to shatter the windows of Stonewall Inn with bricks and platform high heels. We march for Stormy DeLarvery, the self-proclaimed Stone Butch Dyke, who was beaten with a baton for simply complaining that her handcuffs were too tight that night. We march for Lee Greer Brewster, who demanded trans acceptance within her own community during the Stonewall Rally of 1973. We march for Harvey Milk, our first openly gay government representative who was assassinated. We march for the 49 souls who lost their lives during the massacre at Pulse nightclub in Orlando in 2016, 2 of which were friends of mine. We march for sexual liberation and freedom. We march because of over the 850 anti-LGBTQ plus bills that have been filed at the state level since the start of this year, the most in history. Most of those are attacking my trans brothers and sisters. We march because we matter too. We march for ourselves, for our community. We march because we need to learn to love ourselves and to embrace the love that's shown to us because we don't know how. And as RuPaul says, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to learn to love anybody else? Why do I march? I march because toxic masculinity hurts us all. I march for that little boy who was told he was worthless because he didn't fit into society's mold. I marched because he hid his bruises. He hid his scars. I marched because he survived 3 attempts at suicide. and still managed to stand before you today in all of his fabulous glory. I march because everyone deserves the joy of hearing click, clack, of a good pair of high-heeled shoes.
A stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna send a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. This is me.
Okay, I will read a poem called Jesus at the Gay Bar by Jay Homey. He's here in the midst of it, right in the center of the dance floor, robes hitched up to his knees to make it easy to spin. At some point in the evening, a boy will touch the hem of his robe and pray and beg to be healed, beg to be anything other than what he is. And he will reach his arms out, sweat damp, weary of dance, and cup the boy's face in his hand. And he'll say, "My beautiful child, there's nothing in this heart of yours that ever needs to be healed." So I now invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in the closing hymn, "We Shall Not Be Moved." So I will now invite you to join with me in reciting these words as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you for remaining risen while I give you today's benediction. Because of those who came before, we are. In spite of their failings, we believe. Because of and in spite of the horizon of their village, their vision, we too dream. Let us go remembering to praise, to live in the moment, to love mightily, and to bow to the mystery. And with that, I say to you all, Amen, Shalom, Salam, Namaste, and blessed be.